I've seen like professional athletes train, and I try to tell my clients that I'm like, if you watch a professional athlete train, like the first like 40 minutes of their program is the most mundane exercises. You know,
Yeah.
they're doing they're dorsiflexing their foot like 20 times. They're doing like some cat. It's the most mundane stuff, and it's all prep work for them to do their actual sport, whatever their sport is. But for whatever reason, everyone, if they don't feel that burn or that whatever it is when it comes to general fitness, they think they're wasting their time. I'm assuming you've come across that yourself as well, yeah?
Oh yeah. I think probably to your point, mobility is very underrated. I would say mobility and recovery, I see are the two things that lack for a lot of our clients. And, as you get older, and I tell people when I say older, that's a relative term, but let's just say over 30 for the sake of argument, the body really starts to change. You see changes in strength, muscle mass, flexibility, proprioception, balance, all of those things. And so, particularly for your males out there listening, I mean, unless you were just gifted with natural extensibility, we tend to get really tight and stiff. And so, the people that I worry about are people that are trying to produce large amounts of force in short amounts of time. If you don't have good mobility, then usually that leads to injury or can lead to an injury. I mean, the mundane, the prep work, the prehab stuff, I always tell patients and clients, we want to mobilize before we move, which is kind of what you're talking about, getting the body ready, warming it up functionally. How do I get the joints ready for those more multi-joint movements, those explosive type of activities?
Yeah, and I've noticed now. I've been training for a long time, and I mean, I went through like the '90s where it was all like the meatheads. Everybody was all big. Even
Yeah.
myself, I was a meathead myself. And now I've kind of changed my approach a little bit, just because I've learned a lot. I've trained a lot of people. I've seen a lot. I've educated myself, and I've noticed now that it's exactly what you said. It's more about, I found that learning to mobilize yourself first, getting strong at moving yourself first, and then after you get you strong at moving yourself first, then you're going to add external load. Even people that are close to me, that are people that are ex athletes, I'll tell them about some of the stuff, that the pre rehab stuff that we do, or called mobility, that I do. And then he's just like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, we'll do the little stretchy thing, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, in my mind, I was like I have to show him, like, dude, this is like college level athletes that are doing the stuff that I'm doing. It's not just some stretchy thing. It's like prep work to make sure that your joint structure is in its optimal strength profile, so that you can maximize your actual athletic ability. But it's very difficult for a lot of people to kind of see that concept.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's like when I work with throwing athletes, for example, teaching them an arm care routine, it's the same advice that you're giving it. They're very boring, meticulous exercises, but they have to be done on a regular basis so that the whole arm works and so you don't overload it. And I think the other key thing, and you're probably doing this with your clients, is identifying, those kind of areas of asymmetry or areas of, immobility in that chain. And, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And so you got to work at that. The thing about, I think it's frustrating about mobility, flexibility, just kind of moving better, is it doesn't happen overnight. It does take consistent effort. And the most flexible people you'll ever see are dancers and gymnasts, right? Well, they work that craft every day. And so that's the hard part. I think people are not patient enough. We don't have a patient society. Everybody wants a quick fix. And I
Right.
think, lifting, doing plyometric, explosive things, you feel that right away. Where the mobility work, it's kind of like a tortoise, right? I mean, it just doesn't kind of get the motor running for most people.